got to play Stellar Leap. Now, this is a game we did pick up at Origins, and it looked super cool and looked right up our alley, so we got it. All right, so before we get started, though, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell because board games are amazing, and that's what we do here at Legends of Nirvana. All right, Robert, can you tell us a little bit more about Stellar Leap?
Okay. So Stellar Leap came out in 2018, so this may be a little bit older than what you guys thought. Overall rank, 10,768, rated at a 6.7. Designer is Carla Kopp. Art by Tyler Harris, is published by Weird Giraffe Games. So we really should have done a series, like every Weird Giraffe Wednesdays or something like that. And then MSRP is $49, but I found it on Miniature Market for $24.
Now, I will say, so the reason why we ended up getting a copy of this is they're thinking about doing a re-release with new components.
And I did see online that there is an expansion. It's called Frontiers.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, and I think they were completely out of stock from that, so I think we would have to get that.
I saw that in the rulebook. I didn't have to go online.
No way.
But talking to them, they think they're going to redo this one for reprinting, and so that is why we ended up picking up this copy. So we can go through the rules and kind of see what we felt about it. Overall, let's talk about quality of components. So you do have inlaid boards, and for the time, that's pretty snazzy. If you think of 2018 inlaid boards, that's pretty cool. You do have your workers are unique, so
to your race,
which is pretty cool. Your resource cubes are just that resource cubes that go in your slot and they go up and down the tracks.
But they match colors to the track.
The colors on this particular board don't match so well, but yes.
Well, I mean,
we got purple, pink, and kind of a reddish all mixed together on that one board.
Well, for the actual player color, but the rest of the player colors do match pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
And then as well as that, so you do have you have some wooden chips, of course. The player quality, now the card quality, it is a linen finish. I think they're pretty good thickness. I'm okay with the card quality, actually.
A little bit, but yeah, they do have a nice feel to them.
Yeah.
The fact that you lay them down on the table as a board, a few of the times I tried to put my alien on there, he'd fall over because of the curl of the card, but it wasn't horrible.
No, and then we got a first player token, which was another wooden piece. So
you got dice, but they're pretty standard. There's nothing special about the dice.
I mean, my thing is probably when this was produced in 2019 or 2018. Yeah, 2018.
I know that was
that's 4 years ago, right? That's not like ancient.
Was it really?
Yes.
It feels like
as of the time of this video.
So long ago.
It was 4 years ago.
Well, no, I mean, games have developed quite a bit. I mean, games have developed.
In 10 years, if somebody's watching this video, it would be 14 years ago. Then it'd seem like it was
ancient. Yeah. Whatever, guys. I mean, but with that in mind, I mean, there are some nice things that are going on here, but they're not, if you're talking about today's standards, it's okay. I'm probably going to give this maybe 6.5. I mean, it does have unique, like you said, unique meeples, player workers and things like that. So that's where I'm at. What about you guys? What are you thinking?
What do you think?
I think 6.5 is fair. I don't think it's anything outstanding, but they tried. I mean, they did it inlaid boards. They're not smoothly cut, but they're nice. And they did, the custom shapes for the wood bits. And
the inlay boards aren't curling like you see in a lot.
Well, that's what they definitely are much better laid out as far as thin, smooth on the table than most inlay boards today. Right. They're just not quite as nice. They do have a linen finish on the board, though. Mm-hmm. They do have the linen finish carried over to the cardboard. The dice are nothing special, but, I think 6.5 is probably a fair score.
I think I want just a little bit higher, just because of the fact card quality is pretty good, and the fact that I don't think inlaid boards was that big of a thing in 2018, and so I don't think
so. You're in the ancient camp,
but no, I'm not.
You're making me feel really old.
Well, that's because you are really old, but that's not the point. I don't think dual layer boards was especially for a game that isn't really that expensive. Yeah. And so I just think that kind of notched it up just a little bit for me. So
yeah,
I'm a 7.
I can totally see that. All right, so Now let's talk about the theme. So the theme is that you are a race of aliens and you are trying to explore the galaxy and become a powerful entity of yourself. And there's several ways to do that in the theme. You can push people off other planets so you have sole ownership and gain all the resources, or you can spread out as far as you possibly can and gain a bunch of different resources from a bunch of different planets, or you can just discover, right? Or take off other people's discovery. So I think that was pretty interesting. I think it was kind of good. It was definitely very space themed. I do like the different aliens that they did. I thought they were cute and fun. Well, maybe not that cute, but like, but it's still good artwork.
Right.
Good artwork, and I liked all the planets were very unique. You didn't have a lot of the same; they were different in some way or form. So I thought that was good. So the card art was different. Overall, I'm probably going to give this a 7.5 for theme. Like, I think it was pretty good. What are you guys thinking?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very generic space theme. But it is space, and you are exploring. It's a very, very light 4X game. So this is not like when you think 4X, you generally think fairly complex rules.
Yeah,
you think it's got this is
it would take you
a light,
8 hours to play.
I would call this a light to medium game. It's not a heavy game at all.
Yeah,
I wouldn't even call it light to medium. I'd just say light.
I think this would take it's not. This is not an entry level game. It's going to take you a little bit to get to this.
I don't think it is. I didn't get that impression.
It's pretty simplistic, but I think it's a little more advanced than your typical Azul or.
I don't think this is any more difficult than Ticket to Ride. I think this is about the same complexity. But that's just my opinion.
But the thing is, like I said, for theme is the fact that every card is different, every planet's different. Yeah. I think that goes to kind of theme. So
I agree. Yeah. I think 7 is what I was going to give it for the theme. Yeah. I mean, the mechanics fit the theme really well, and so I like that. But that's about as far as theme goes. Yeah. Everything else is pretty layered on.
Well, I like that the the cards look like you're looking through almost like an X-wing type screen,
or maybe even a really good telescope or something where you're far enough back, but you're getting an idea what it looks like.
Yeah, they get the stats. It looks kind of like if I was playing X-wing on a video game or whatever. It's got the stats.
Yeah, it does.
Because
it's kind of got a HUD there.
Yeah, it looks like that's what it looks like. And I like the futuristic looking dice on the cards above it that mark it. So, the art is not real advanced, but I like the colors that they chose on the cards. These event cards are beautiful. I love them.
Well, I mean, but if you look at these planets are really pretty.
Yeah, they're okay. I mean, they're just random swirls of colors, but yeah, they definitely look like random planets out there. So yeah, I think the art on this, like we played Moonrakers, and one of the detractors I think on that was the art on the cards being so basic. In this one, I don't see that problem. I see they're prettier cards, but it's still a lot of black space because it's space. I mean, that's what you expect. So I don't see it being outstanding in theme, but I think it is does its job well enough.
Sure.
I do think a 7 is probably appropriate.
Okay. All right. So now let's move on to the rule book. Now the rule book is not that big.
No, it's not. It's not. Again, it's not that complex of a game. So no page numbers.
There were beautiful cheat sheets. These cheat sheets were marvelous.
They worked very well.
So top notch on the cheat sheets.
They did their job.
They did their job. They functioned well.
Their job.
So it's 24 pages. That's a little misleading because it looks like it's smaller, but it is 24 pages. There's not really a cover.
It's really big font.
It kind of goes straight into the story of the game on the front.
But it's pretty big font.
It's easy to read.
Yeah. I felt because I read part of it, guys,
it's
and
pretty
I thought
much white and black, and there's a little bit of color for around the headers, which is nice. There was a little confusion around because there's not a limit to the number of rows. The rows are considered solar systems. This is your galaxy, this whole area. And the art in here, not really art, but the diagrams they show, some cases they show 2 solar systems, sometimes they show 3. And there was only one place in the book where it mentioned basically that you could have any number of them. So when you're starting out doing the setup, it looked like, well, do I do 2 rows? Do I do 3 rows? It's not really any number of rows. It's wherever you decide you're going to put your planets that generates the number of rows.
Well, it's more of where you're going to discover your planets.
Well,
where you're going to search.
Initial setup. If everybody wants to be on 5, that's going to create 5 solar systems
Right.
if you're playing a 5-player game.
Yep.
So it's really, it's the weight placement of your planets and what number you choose to put them on is going to determine that. The rulebook's kind of laid out weird. It's like you jump kind of around. It goes into the original setup, then it goes into the iconography, and then it goes into the terminology, then the card explanation of the anatomy of the card structuring. Then it goes into turns, and it's kind of just randomly just throw things into it. I was not pleased with the way it was laid out, but it was clear when you read through it what was going on. Then you had your division actions, and then the events. This was, turns out it's on the board. We didn't find it for a while. We was like, where is it? Why is it not on the cheat sheet? Well, it's because it's right on your board telling you when the events trigger. That was kind of key to the game.
Yeah, that's our bad.
Yeah, that's our bad. Then you got your scoring and then solo play, and then they have variants for how you're going to play the game. If you want to play like intense attack version, I know you'll never will. And then it's just ads for the Frontiers game, which is how I knew about it.
What?
And thank yous to the various people who supported them. And then there's a quick setup guide. You did not follow if you followed this, you got it wrong because we had to come up and fix it. But
it's mainly because I couldn't count 4 times. 4 times 2 is 8, not 6.
Yes.
So
in case you're wondering,
but 4 plus 2 is 6. So maybe you
that's not what.
instead
No,
of
I was
multiplying.
definitely multiplying. I just thought there were 3 players instead of 4. Or I just.
So
didn't
which
do
one
math.
of us did you
Or
forget?
she
Was it
ignored
me or
me.
Rob?
Well, so what it was is there was me, Heather, and Andrew sitting next to each other while we were setting this up. Heather left, and I was still 3 in my brain because I had set up hunger for 3 people. So what it was is I forgot both of you. And anyway, but it was fine.
and it wasn't hard to set up, so
It
wasn't hard to fix it.
It wasn't hard to fix.
So the hardest part was that I assumed she had done it right because she had said she'd done it, and so I went ahead and started reading the rules, and we were finding things that contradicted the layout.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is why I don't set up games. This is why. This just sounds like the perfect reason. Miranda, help set up the game. No, I cannot do that.
But you could help take it down.
And that's why
I can't do that either. Hey, I got out hunger and played it and put it away. So that is
good job.
That's it for the next 30 days. Like that's it.
She's tired.
No, but anyway.
So as far as the rulebook goes, I'll probably go ahead and give it a 6.5. It's fine. It does its job. I didn't like the way it was laid out particularly, but it communicated things well. And there's a lot of these cheat sheet cards. It's a little bit of a mess if you they take up a lot of space on the table because they're just mixed up and jumbled out here. They did put like the solo play on the backside, which was kind of nice, I guess. But there's just a lot of cards kind of spread out everywhere that you have to reference as opposed to one sheet.
I have one sheet.
You have one cheat sheet there, but for all of the play game rules are kind of broken out over all these cards.
Yeah, but you didn't need those. You just needed this.
I was using these.
I'm glad you
I had to keep finding the card that I needed.
It's such a big deal that his voice went up and off. So.
Anyway, okay, so let's actually talk about gameplay. So the gameplay is that as if it's your turn, you're going to grab the black dice. You have 2 of them, and you're going to roll, okay? So in this case, I have a 4 and a 2. So not only will the 2, the 4, a 6 will be triggered. So 2 plus 4 is 6. So all of those will be triggered. So everyone, it triggers for everybody, okay? Now, I do have the option of modifying these dice before I let it trigger. Now, depending on my own player ability that I chose at the beginning of the game, you get to draw 2, pick 1, then that can be what alters the dice. In this particular instance, I have 2 choices. I have one for the overall whole board is that instead of minuses, or instead of plus, which is 2, 4, 6, I could do a minus, which is 4 subtract 2 is 2. So I could have those numbers in play. Or in this case, or in the other one that I have as my personal player power is I get to add 1 or subtract 1 to one of the dice. In this particular instance, I'm going to say that I am orange, and so I definitely want a bunch of 2s. So I'm going to go with 2 with the subtracting mechanism. So I get to trigger the 2 column twice. and the 4 column ones, okay? So then I'm gonna go and I'm gonna look, okay, if I'm orange, I'm gonna say, all right, I get 2 water and a bread, I get whatever. So I'm gonna go down that line and trigger everything that I have. Now, everyone else is gonna be doing the same thing with what is triggered on theirs. You're going to gather that resources. And so basically every turn, there's a possibility of you getting resources. So when it's your time to play, you can spend those resources. Okay. All right. So you're going to get those resources and then you're going to do up to 5 different actions. Now, each action is slightly dedicated. So you have 2 from the quote unquote high command area, in which case you can populate, tax, discover, or attack. And we'll go over those here in a minute. And then you have the divisions, which is basically, you can spend one of your division action, which is called Intel, and you can actually finish a victory point card by spending resources. And then you have mining, so you can send a population to a mining location and mine as a separate action. And then there's one called labor, so you can take your population, exhaust them, right? And then you can get instant resources for that card. Now, keep in mind, if all your population is exhausted on that card, and if it gets rolled, you do not get to use it. It has to be reset the next round when it's your turn. Okay, so there is a risk, but if you have to, then it might make sense to do that. All right. Now, going back to the high command actions, you can populate, okay? So you have to spread your race throughout the galaxies and the solar system. So what you need to do is you're going to spend 2 bread and a water. You're going to take one of your workers and you're going to put it out where you already have one of your workers or one of your population, okay? So that is considered one of the high command. If I do that, I will spend that action. That leaves me with 1 left. All right, next is I could tax. So I get 2 resources of my choice just by doing a tax action. I don't think any of us ever did that. Nope. Then you could also discover. So if I wanted to discover, I'm going to choose which pile I wanted, either the safe planets or the dangerous planets. Ooh, but if I do, I'm going to say I'm going to do dangerous because I'm feeling dangerous. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I have 2 cards to choose from. Now I can make that choice. And some of the things that I'll be looking at is, oh, this is an asteroid. So this gives me a mining ability when I go there. Okay. Or I can get a planet, which I could possibly get an income. So I'm going to end up choosing, we'll go with the planet. Okay. So the one that you don't choose will go underneath that deck. Woohoo. Okay. And then I'm going to take one of my markers. And then I'm going to decide which column that I'm going to put it in. So I'm going to say 6 because 6 is looking pretty empty, but it will trigger an event because we have a whole row, okay? So keep in mind, different actions will require. Now, over here, I do not naturally have a populace. Now, one of the free actions you can do in this game is move your populace. So so this takes 3 fuel to get there, and we know that by the spaceship icon next to the name. So I'm going to spin
But it also takes fuel for every solar system you go down to get there. So it takes you 2 additional fuel unless you have the event we got, which we'll talk about that in a little bit.
So basically I already have some workers already in this solar system. So I'm just going to move one of them because it's going to cost me less fuel. So that's very, very helpful. Okay, so now anytime that a 6 is rolled, I will end up gaining this ability. Okay, so
you were orange.
I'm playing.
Yeah, but you said you were orange.
Well, you know what? I'm at the purple board right now.
I was orange.
And what's funny is I was even yellow. Okay, so I'm so confused. All right, the next thing you could do is attack. Okay, so in this particular instance, I have 2 purple against 1 orange, and I could say, you know what? I am going to attack. I'm going to spend my high command action to attack. And so basically, I kick off my orange, or I kick off the orange because I'm purple. I kick it somewhere else because guess what? He's invaded my space. Okay? And then he goes to
whatever planet he chooses that is in the same solar system of his.
So I have to go to one I'm already populated in. So I have to come back here.
Okay. All right. So that is the attack action. Okay. So now just keep in mind, you can only do 2 of the high command actions, and you can use that by triggering these. And then once you've played all your actions, or you don't have to play all your actions because sometimes there's not that ability, then it goes to the next player's turn. They're going to roll the dice, and you're going to collect income until it is your turn again. Now, the one thing we really didn't mention is the events. We mentioned just briefly. So events occur automatically when the last planet or asteroid in a solar system is discovered. So basically when you complete a row, when all players have at least 3, 6, or 9 populace. So you guys will look and see, oh, look, everyone's hit their 3 mark, or everyone's hit their 6, or everyone hits their 9, and another event occurs. A tier missions are complete. So basically when you've completed, so there's 3 level of tier missions that you can complete using your intel workers, level 1s, level 2s, and level 3s. 4 are face up at every, that get refill every round, so you'll have that ability to choose from 4 if you want to complete them at all. And therefore, as you complete different errors, you want to complete them. If you complete them during your the tier 1, when tier 1's all completed, then it gets you'll get a event, or if you complete all of tier 2 or tier 3, etc. A planet deck is still completed. So one of these 2 decks, once they're completely gone and everything's discovered, event will also occur. The end of game occurs when 6 events actions occur. All right. So overall, I actually really enjoyed this. I had a lot of fun. It is more on the, light to medium, in your case light, but I still liked it. It was still kind of stellar. It reminded me a mixture of Space Base, and I think you hit it right on the head, a little bit of Catan, where you're rolling the dice and trying to figure out what triggers. So I think it's a combination of those two, and I actually kind of appreciated that. And I liked my little creatures, and I like exploring and things like that. What did you guys think overall, guys?
I liked it. I wish that we incorporated the attack element. We really didn't do that. I think that would have added some tension to it, and I think that would have made it a little bit more interesting. But it was still fun the way we played it. I liked it.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed in the event that we got.
Yeah,
first.
we got all nice events initially.
Yeah, well,
that's because someone didn't shuffle.
Even though you're supposed to. But either way, the fact that an event exists that takes a huge impacting element out of the game, and we got it first round
very early.
First event, it basically eliminated the cost of fuel to move from solar system to solar system. It was the warp drive. Thematically, it makes sense. Gameplay wise, it
made it really cheap to move around.
It made fuel like almost unimportant.
I don't say that because, listen, guys, I was still low on fuel a lot of the time because of the moving.
I never was. I maxed out my fuel most of the game. I used my fuel, burned it to get the last card that I got for 6 points because I burned almost all the fuel.
I think it was a mix of a lot of lucky cards coming up that made the game feel easier than probably it should have.
Yeah, it was almost like how when I played a Skyrim or Oblivion one, where there was a cheat where you could use go to the vampire and just go and talk to him and he'd give you money. Right. And then you'd leave the castle and go back in. And he'd give it to you again. Yeah. And you just kept abusing that, and then you could buy everything. And that sounded so cool. It was so cool to have that. And then you come in here, and then the game just feels cheap because you took the whole element of earning money out of the game. Right. Same concept here. You took the whole fuel piece out. It felt like the fuel was kind of a waste because I could go anywhere I wanted with pretty much everybody on the same turn.
I think it would have been better that one. Maybe it would reduce the fuel costs, but not eliminate it.
Yeah, I think because of things like that being in the game, it kind of made it feel a little boring to me. I just there's not much to it. I can go wherever I want, do whatever I want without any kind of real repercussion to it. And because we don't generally attack each other, we took one of the X's out of the game on top of that.
Right.
So given those two things, I just didn't really get into this game.
Well, I mean, that sounds like an us problem, not the game problem.
I think the card was definitely the game. It's
but if it had come later on in the game, it would have been fine.
Or it may never have came up at all.
Exactly.
I mean, seen it.
So,
but I agree, though, with it coming up when it came up, it made the game. That's why I think it's such a light game. It made it wasn't difficult.
Well, but at the same time, there's still enough strategy in it. And you know what? Sometimes I don't want to be depressed all the time with all the negative things happening.
I agree.
What's wrong with having good stuff? What's what's wrong with could have been?
Well, not when it's good and completely takes something out of the game. I mean, it would have been this turn.
Listen,
but that was for the rest of the game.
Listen. I understand. Like if you were doing solo and play and it was a little too easy, okay, fine. But you're playing against other people. Make everyone out. You know, I like good things happening to me. Y'all are like, oh, let's get these games that do mean things to you. Why?
No, I'm not like that at all. But I do like tension in the game that makes you really. Do I want to do this? Because if I do that, that's either going to leave me open, or it's going to me. I'm not going to be able to do other stuff because I can't afford it now. It makes you weigh those decisions. And
I did weigh
and
those
as far as the fuel goes, I didn't have to ask myself that.
Yeah, and they're really like the fighting. It isn't really fighting. You just get bumped.
Yeah,
it's it's not. It's a very low.
It's not. Yeah, it's not brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think we could have added that, and I think I would have been fine with it. Is it something that?
No. Unless I had attacked you, then you would have had a problem with it.
Well, I mean, all fair in love and war, right? Like.
No, except for when I attack. Oh. I'm going to end you now. So there's no way you'll survive. You won't be able to drive home because you will be turned to ash if you attack me. It's like,
to be fair,
okay,
you did attack me first.
And to be fair, that was her maiden name. Right?
Just saying. No, I mean, I still had a lot of fun, and I'm sorry
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. It's just. It could have been a little bit better, I think, if it would have added that tension.
Yeah.
But I still had a good time because I do agree. There's times where I like it pretty light.
Well, first of all, kudos to them for even attempting a 4X game that is light.
Yeah.
I mean, 4X games, that's not what they're known for. 4X games are known for being hours and hours long, and
or you feel exhausted.
Lots of rules.
No, I think they did a great job. I'm honestly probably at a 7.75 for this. I had a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I want to play this again. I'm happy. Except this time I will probably pay purple because I kept forgetting that I wasn't purple. So.
Where would you put it at?
I'm probably more of a 6.5. I would probably go 6.5 on it. I think there's elements that were really good, were well done. I just when something like that card comes out, it doesn't matter if it's like early in the game, late in the game. It's something that completely bends the rule to the point where it makes the game less challenging to and have it be for the rest of the game.
Right.
Again, if it was a one round, you got this benefit.
Or until the next event played.
But you could have the next event come on that same turn. I mean,
I'm going to be the outlier here. Normally, Miranda's in between me and Randy. I'm going to be between Miranda and Randy this time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a cautious 7. And that's because I think if we would never seen that card, it'd have been a different game.
Yeah, it definitely would have been a different game.
So therefore, there is enough cards in that event deck where we may have never seen it and wouldn't have known that. So that's why I'm a cautious 7. I think it could be a different game, especially if you add that attack element. I think that it would have added a little bit more tension, and I would have been a 7. So I'm cautiously optimistic, and I'll call it a 7.
Well, I mean, one thing I want to point out, though, to, lowering that standard just for one card seems a bit much. In my rating score, it's one card.
It doesn't matter if it's
then
one
just
card.
Remove it.
Well, yeah, that's what you'd have to do. Again, we don't do.
But we don't
house rule.
Yeah, we don't house rule quite.
But honestly, I don't think it's even worth removing. But if you seem to be that upset about it, I mean,
I don't think
it's that big of a deal.
I don't feel like the game played the way it was anticipated to play because it was a huge rule in the game.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that you have to pay that extra fuel to move around, which would have impacted the latter part of the game significantly.
Well, especially when trying to get those bonus cards.
Because early in the game, we weren't really moving from solar system to solar system. And when that card came out, but when it did, after that card came out, we were moving all over the place and we had no challenge doing it.
Yeah. But, I still liked it. So.
Maybe you just make sure it's on the second half of the deck. I don't know what to say. I don't think it's that big of a deal, but hey, we can agree to disagree.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Yeah, what do you guys think? One card, lower rating? I don't know. No. Overall, though, I actually did enjoy it. Biggest question, would you play it again?
We own it. So, yes.
That means nothing.
No, would you play it again?
I would play it again, sure. But just saying you own it and that's the reason why you play it again, Yeah,
Do you know how many games we have around
on
here?
that.
Listen,
Yeah.
Listen,
We've talked
I've
about
been
this
wanting to
before.
play Hunger again. I don't know for how long. And Randy's like, oh, well, sure, we can do that eventually. And he even likes that game, like, a lot. And I had to, like, pity, like, people and be like, guilt them into playing with me today. So...
Well, to be fair, there were like 15 games named all in one paragraph.
I
if not
said Hunger
sentence.
at the very, very beginning, and everyone's like, oh. And I'm like, that's a good game.
I was starting to stack up games like this high of like, oh, I want to play Carnegie. I want to play this. I want to play that.
How many times have I brought Viticulture World?
Exactly. Poor Rob's hauled Viticulture World down here for a review, which we have still yet to do.
Maybe
like
we need
4
to,
times.
We need to put that on the first doc. Next time you come down, we'll put that first.
Okay.
Okay, I
No.
promise. No, what Rainey does, I don't know.
Well, generally, I find out, oh, we're going to play this, this, and this before I even get here. So it's like,
Well, I've been trying to
Okay.
get back to the Game Vault for all this time, and I still haven't made it down
No,
there.
we have so many new games, though. We have, like, listen,
Yeah,
we
but
still have
people
to...
want to hear about the old classics, too.
yep, I got Rail Baron coming. It's going to be good.
I'm excited about some of the Kickstarter shipping notices I got. That's what I'm excited about. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We had an absolute blast. What do you get excited about playing? We'll catch you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.
Now, Robert, can you tell us a little bit more about this particular game?
I sure can.
I keep doing that.
Because it was funny.
Because I want to make you laugh. And I want it on the video.
All right, Robert, can you tell us a little bit about...
You want to tell us a little bit about Well, it's what you said. The sounds you might make if you are suffering from a stroke.
Or eating mashed potatoes.
Or I can't just...
Nom, nom,
okay,
nom,
let's
nom,
try.
nom, nom, nom.
Just kidding.